This is a celebrity group that will present sharing houses on interior using Metabus. It is a member of our group. Let me explain the table of contents. In the first half, we will explain simple market analysis and business items. In the middle part, we will set up a hypothesis. In the second half, we will analyze the hypothesis using Excel statistical method, and finally, we will conclude and finish. First, the current situation. If you look at the graph below, you can see that the number of single-person households is increasing. As the number of single-person households increase, it is expected that changes will occur in the interior market in the future. Also, as more time is spent at home due to the coronavirus, interest in self-interior is increasing. This graph shows that rental and shared housing are increasing in the United States. In the increasing proportion of shared housing will be an important factor in our selection of business items in the future.
What is shared office, shared housing? Shared office and shared houses mean the use of public spaces together while guaranteeing personal space. Shared public spaces such as lounges, snack bars, and meeting room printers but have private office. Comparing rental and shared offices. There are varying expenditure when renting a building such as deposit expenditure equal to 10 times the monthly rent, expenditure on maintenance expenses such as heating and cooling, internet use, cleaning, refreshment purchase, facility maintenance, use of old building on the side road. However, sharing can reduce burdensome spending. Another advantage is that you can decorate your personal space as you want except for shared space.
WeWork is a sharing office. Co-working space is a space rental system designed to save additional costs by separating workspace, meeting room, and rest area. Property of WeWork operates more than 20 branches in Korea. Because of this, it has the advantage of being able to share office with frequent business travelers and network with each other within shared office. We looked into why WeWork went under. WeWork was positionally flawed. It also lost money while spending huge amount of money in a short time, and its business model that can't grow. Our group looked at WeWork and tried to alleviate the shortcomings. The beginning and the idea were good, but I know I couldn't fail. I think we should try harder not to be.
The second is a business item. Differences from other companies. First, it is not just sharing like other companies, but customized interior design. Second, pre-virtual design is possible using Metabus. Customer can check furniture size and color in advance. Third, depending on the type of customer, the remaining vacancies. After using it as a sharing house or office are accommodated for short-term customer. It minimizes the vacancy. If you look at the picture below, customer needs a customized office. Our company is conducting a 3D virtual reality interior program. So it is to create a customized interior space. What is Metabus? It is a compound word of meta, which means transcendence and abstraction, and universe, which means the world and the universe, which means a virtual world linked to reality. When we combine customer needs with Metabus, customer can design their own interior using virtual space and 3D technology.
Here are some special interior parts. We plan to provide unique interiors from each country for long-term guests. This project will increase the satisfaction of guests by composing their own space with familiar interiors for guests coming from other areas. In addition, it will be helpful in promoting the architecture and interior culture of Korea. Each country's unique interior architecture style is used to meet customer demand. The most important point of this business is that, unlike real company previously, the vacancy rate was minimized to create an efficient profit structure. It mainly targets long-term guests, and the remaining rooms are provided to short-term guests who come to study abroad, long-term trips, company business trip, and short-term vacation. Our competitive advantage is, first, we created a custom-made room through communication with customers using 3D virtual program with lead to high customer satisfaction. Second, it has a complex profit structure that minimizes the vacancy rate by dividing customers into 3 stages. Finally, we will do cultural exchange and positive effect between countries by utilizing the interiors of each country. Next, let's take a look at our hypothesis.
The chapter of 3 hypotheses. Hypothesis: people will be most dissatisfied with the interior when they book and use accommodation. When people stay abroad for a long time, people prefer a shared house to a hotel. People who will use interior design in their choice of accommodation will want to participate in their own interior design. When choosing accommodation, people who will use interior design spend more money on accommodation. Except for the interior design, the location will be the most important when choosing accommodation. The chapter of 4, analysis of questionnaire survey. Gender ratio: a total of 213 people participate in the survey. Men account for 30% and women 70%. Age ratio: the age group of the responders is 203 people in their 20s, accounting for more than 19%. Experience in using 3D virtual space app. Have you ever used a 3D virtual space application? 108 of the responders said they had used 3D virtual space applications, and 105 said they had no experience. Intention to use 3D virtual space app. Are you interested in using 3D virtual space application in the future? 75 responders who have no experience in 3D virtual space applications said they are willing to use 3D virtual space applications.
The most inconvenient things using long-term applications. What do you think is the most inconvenient things about the booking and using long-term communication? When booking and using communications, 129 of the respondents said they were uncomfortable because the photos and the actual applications were different. Others 39 said they were uncomfortable because the additional codes, 27 because the location of the applications, 50 because the poor communications, and 3 because of the unsanitary factories. The impact of the interview. What is the impact of the interview of the communication when choosing a long-term communication? When choosing a communication, 66 people answered the interview design was very important. 111 people said it was somewhat important, and 30 people said it was normal. 6 people said it didn't matter, and 3 of them said it didn't matter at all. Preferred place for long-term use. What kind of communication do you want for long-term communication? When choosing a communication to stay for a long time, 90 of the response preferred hotels, 72 people preferred shared house, 63 patients, 15 guest house, and 3 envelope. Amongst desired application fee. If you stay for a long time, how much would you like to spend for a month? One of the response, 99 answered the $300 to $450 was reasonable for a 1 month stay. 36 people answered that a communication costs were reasonable for less than $300. 42 people $450 to $600. 33 people $600 to $900, and 3 people $900 or more.
It is about the survey result and hypothesis. The first hypothesis was people will be most dissatisfied with the interior when they book and use accommodation. According to the reviews of the accommodation reservation site, there were many reviews of the interior, and the site was promoting the interior. Therefore, we thought interior design is the most important thing in the accommodation, and there would be the most complaints. If you look at the graph, you can see that there is the highest rate of complaints about the interior in both men and women. You look closely, you can see 16% of all respondents have selected different from picture. Like our hypothesis, we could see that people felt a lot of dissatisfaction with the interior design in choosing and using accommodation. So we think a lot of people will be interested in our business. The second hypothesis was when people stay abroad for a long time, people prefer a share house to a hotel. Although hotels have very advantages such as better service and convenience of location than share house, we thought share house would be more preferred because staying in hotels in the long time is difficult and expensive. If you look at the graph, you can see that both men and women prefer hotels. However, you look closely, you can see the gap between hotel and share house is not significant. Contrary to the hypothesis, people preferred hotels, but we think it is competitive to our interior business and price advantage to the existing share house business.
Here is the statistical result for the third hypothesis. Our third hypothesis is that people who value interior design when choosing accommodation will want to design their own interior design. To induce this, we ask a question about the impact of the interior of the accommodation when choosing accommodation to stay for a long time. As a result, 108 out of 177 respondents who say the interior greatly influences their choice of accommodation say they wanted to participate in the interior. As hypothesized, people consider interior design very important in choosing accommodations and want to participate if they can participate in their own interior design. The fourth hypothesis is that when choosing accommodation, people who value interior design spend more money on accommodation. To induce this, I asked about the desired cost of accommodation for a month. As a result, those who value interior design when choosing accommodations were most likely to spend $300 to $450. As hypothesized, we can see that people are willing to pay higher costs than if they don't value interior design.
The last hypothesis is except for the interior design, the location will be the most important when choosing accommodation. Most of respondents answered that the most important thing was cleanliness, and the next most answered that location is important. This hypothesis is to say that location is important when choosing accommodation. Aside from interior design, it is also important to find and promote accommodation in a cool place. However, these results also require effort to maintain the cleanliness of the dormitory. Fifth conclusion. Through this survey, about 61% of the respondents said that they felt uncomfortable because the photos and actual appearance were different, and 66% of the respondents said that the interior is very important. As we learn from several points, we can expect great demand from the shared housing business. In addition, if Metabus is used for this business and satisfy customers' interior preference and needs, it's expected to be able to accommodate a high price of $300 to $450 or more.